Greetings to all my tech heads out there in the KevTechify Nation, and if you're new here, welcome. In this episode, we're going to look at configuration management tools. We'll be discussing configuration management tools, tradition network configuration, network automation, configuration management tools, and then we'll take a look and compare Ansible, Chef, Puppet, and SaltStack. This episode is part of my series on enterprise networking, security, and automation for the CCNA. I'm Kevin here at KevTechify. Let's get this adventure started. Network configuration is a little difficult when you're using traditional networking tools like the command line interface. Now, it has the ability to run some TCL scripts to automate some tasks, but generally it's considered very difficult. Network management is also pretty difficult using SNMP, Simple Network Management Protocol. Although you have the ability to do remote network configurations, and it's excellent for monitoring the network, to push configurations to end devices and to work with SNMP is generally considered to be labor intensive. Network automation today is developing rapidly thanks to automation moving to the cloud and the advent of virtualization. Today we have RESTful APIs and configuration management tools that can help to automate network configuration. RESTful API requests, they can be used to automate tasks. What's nice about this RESTful API is you can scale it to thousands of devices. Benefits from using this automation is you can have software and version control. You can look at device attributes. You can set them, you can log them, you can monitor them. You can do protocol configurations. You can set up IP addresses. You can change how some of the settings are. You can also do access control list configurations through there. This is automation, where you set up a script, you set up a tool, and it does it automatically for you. The other thing you need to think about is the orchestration. And it's how you arrange these automation tasks together. You have to coordinate that process. You have to have a workflow that works for you, your system, and your hardware. There are several configuration management tools out there: Ansible, Puppet, Chef, and SaltStack. These configuration management tools typically use Python or Ruby. Ansible uses Python and YAML. Puppet and Chef, they use Ruby. SaltStack, that uses Python. These management tools use recipes to script tasks. And these tasks automate changes over your network. Ansible uses a playbook. Puppet uses a manifest. Chef uses a cookbook. SaltStack uses a pillar. This is an example of an Ansible playbook that is taken from Cisco. In Ansible, we have plays. We have two plays right here. The first play is going to report the host name and operating system. The second play is going to report network details of our servers. The hosts are set up in the host file, and those define the IP addresses or domain names of the actual devices. For tasks, on the first play, we have two tasks. First is get the host name from the server, and then second is the operating system. In the second play, we have three tasks. First, we want to get the IP version 4 addresses of the interface. Then we want to retrieve our network routes using the netstack command and put it in the routes variable. And then we want to show us our routes available using the variable. To see the results of these tasks, we're going to use the debug modules. And modules can also use parameters. And in this case, we're going to be using the message parameter. And finally, we have our variables. Variables are surrounded by double curly braces. You can retrieve variables that are built in. These are facts. These are facts that are built into the system. Or you can use your own variables. Here, we're registering the variable called routes. And then we're going to use that variable in the debug module right below it. Let's take a look at that Ansible script here in action. We run the command Ansible-Playbook. Then we specify what user is going to run it. And then we run example1.yaml. That was the example from our previous slide. This will use Ansible to connect over to Cisco and connect into the computer we want to configure using Ansible. We can see that the play is running, the report host name and operating system details. It is running task 1 of gathering the facts. Comes back, says, okay, here is your information. Then on to task 2, get the host name from the server. We're using the IP address we got previously. The message back here is called devbox. Then we can use that IP address again in the third task to get the operating system, and it comes back and it says it's sent OS. Now we start the second play in the playbook, report network details of the servers. First task is gathering the facts, which is the IP address. Next one is the default interface, which says it's ENS160. The next task was to retrieve the routes. If we scroll up a little here, we can see that the task where we're retrieving the routes, all of the information about the routes on that server is listed out here. You can see that it ran the netstat command right here with the argument of -rn for the route numbers. And here is the routing table on the device. It was my pleasure to provide you with this wonderful episode on configuration management tools. If you like this episode and you get value out of it, please click that like button, give a 5-star rating, leave a comment. This all helps me bring you more great content. Please take a minute to subscribe to my channel. All my socials and contact information are on my website, KevTechify.com. There you can find out how to get all these episodes in video and podcast form. In the upper right is my playlist for my series on enterprise networking, security, and automation for the CCNA. Thank you so much for watching this episode of my series on enterprise networking, security, and automation for the CCNA. Once again, I'm Kevin. This is KevTechify. I'll see you next time for another great adventure.